everybody! How is it going? It's the Fuzz. So, big news on the horizons. We've got our release date for the campaign, and it is the 30th. Not so far away, right? And in the meantime, the developers gave us something a little bit juicy here. First, 2 cards! So this is actually pretty telling, because originally we were theorizing that maybe all these cards might be dual colored, but clearly that's not the case, since these first 2 cards are not. They are order, right? So what does that mean for the other cards? Like, if you have 15 cards, right, and at least 2 are of order, so if we assume there's at least 2 of every other faction, that's 12. And then 3 dual colored? I don't know. Maybe there's no dual colored at all, right? Anyways, let's get into the cards. So, starting with Sentry of the Light, little dude on the left. So, Valor is a new mechanic, and it states the following. It's always followed by a number. When you play a creature with Valor, you can immediately make your forces stronger by putting Might emblems on that many different creatures. And you can also choose, if the creature can choose itself as one of the targets. Okay, good to know. So Sentry of the Light, Valor 1, 1 mana guy, 0/1 stats. So you could almost think of him as a Touch of Light, a non-instant Touch of Light. The more I look at this card, the more I realize it seems decent, just because it's like a Touch of Light, but you can also play it as a 1/2. Or if you play it as a Touch of Light, it's still a 0/1 body that does that's the body that can block something, right? So because there's supposed to be more of these cards, and there's supposed to be more synergy with Might emblems, Sentry seems like it should be a decent addition to these decks. As I'm sure you've already read the Mighty Triangelica Sentinel, the Sentry of Light is probably going to be good enough to put into these decks, depending on just how good these cards are going to be. Like, over Touch of Light, because it's a Touch of Light. You could also play as a 1/2 on turn 1. Not only that, if you play it as a 1/2 on turn 1, you can then play a second Sentry of Light and make the first one a 2/3, and then kill like a Zombie Legionnaire or something your opponent just played. So it's quite a bit better than Touch of Light in that sense, more flexible. Yes, doesn't have, instant speed, but since I can't imagine running both, but maybe you run both, you will probably choose Sentry of the Light over the Touch of Light because of the fact that it's also a body and has more flexibility. But hey, maybe you do run both. Now to the interesting card, and the card that's kicking up quite a storm, Triangelica Sentinel. What a card! So 4 mana, 2 aspects. Valor 2, so it can hit 2 things, so itself and something else. It does say it has to be different creatures, so it can hit itself twice. 3/3 with 2 speed, but realistically it's probably going to be a 4/4. And the effect, oh dear. If an allied creature with a Might emblem would be affected by an enemy action spell, hero skill, trigger, or activated power, so basically anything other than combat, remove a Might emblem from the creature instead, and you prevent all these effects. So when you drop Sentinel, it's a 4/4 that can resist 1 effect of any kind. So it's like a shield against spells and stuff. That seems pretty good. I mean, it's also a knight. They're both knights. So, I mean, I'm just trying to imagine this. Take your priest deck with Hermelia, and you just toss this dude into it. So after you play Gomer Ironbeard, and if by God it somehow doesn't die, you can play Triangelica Sentinel to buff itself and Gomer Ironbeard, and now you've got 2 giant beatsticks that can't die! I mean, not immediately, but it's not going to be that easy to kill them. I mean, Cataclysm no longer works because they'll just lose the Might emblems. I mean, you have to send like 2 Soul Flames at the guy, which means you have to take like 7 damage or something. That's really not good. So the card looks really solid, and as we were being told, there's gonna be more of these cards that interact with Might emblems. Yeah, that probably means it's gonna be something solid. I mean, that card alone looks good enough to play. So if there is more of these cards, maybe you make a dual color deck with both of them, perhaps with Sentry of the Light, and maybe there is other like Might Emblem setup stuff. Now that does mean that anything that has a Might Emblem or anything that can get a Might Emblem automatically gets better. So what can get a Might Emblem? Blood-Seeking Mutant can get a Might Emblem. Actually, now we understand why they made these nerfs to Blood-Seeking Mutant and Coronis, because those things could stack Might Emblems, and now with Triangelica Sentinel, you know, they would just like be basically unkillable. They're still going to be really good because, you know, every Might Emblem is like a protection. And you can just keep you can play Triangelica Sentinel and just keep stacking Might Emblems on it. And, like, it's gonna be very hard to kill. So it seems like Order is building up this identity of, you know, these creatures that are very hard to kill outside of combat. Like, you would have to actually put stuff on the board and fight them in combat. Thank goodness the Sentinel does not have 3 speed. I'm really thankful for that, because I think there's enough of these powerful 3-speed cards between Gomer, Cavalry Field, and Namir, and like Elf Warrior and stuff, that, you know, if that was a 3-speed guy as well, oh my god, it'd just be insane. I still think the card is really good. I think as is, you could put this card into a deck. Like, actually, in something like Elric Illusion Order deck, like, you play the Sentinel and you buff an illusion, and now the illusion can resist an effect as well. So that's actually really annoying. Yeah, you can use combat on it, but the Elric illusions tend to be big 3-speed things. With Triangelica Sentinel, they get even bigger, and now you can't just ping them off and get rid of them. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is an epic rarity, which means it's not going to be so easy to get. But wow, what an epic it is. If you got any premium packs saved up, look out for this little guy. I expect to see him in Constructed. So, spoiler, well, not really a spoiler, note, I will be reviewing all 15 of them again. Like, if there's any more spoilers between now and the release, I will review all 15 again to kind of like get a comparison. But I imagine I'm gonna have a very positive opinion of Mr. Sentinel, because wow, that's an awesome card. It looks really powerful too. Does that mean we're gonna have like these unkillable creatures? I mean, you can use combat, right? But it might be not might be so easy to do. We'll have to see how that stuff works out. So other stuff with Might Emblems, Vulture gets a bunch of Might Emblems. Although realistically, if you have a Vulture and Sentinel, you're gonna need to remove this. Like, your opponent's going to remove the Sentinel anyways, because it's the more threatening card, because it's what's enabling these Might Emblems. Hey, Blood-Seeking Mutant can add a weakness emblem to remove that Might Emblem. Might be good. Word of Pain can distribute a bunch of weakness emblems. Might be a necessary card. I mean, I don't know. But hey, there you go. Oh yeah, they changed to Kayano as well. That's why they changed Kayano, because if you could start Kayanoing out stuff, then it'd be way too cheap to put emblems. Like, if you want to Kayano out Sentinel, you can, but you have to pay 4 mana. Actually, that might even be a buff, because if you Kayano out Triangelica Sentinel, it will already have a Might Emblem when it comes into play, and then you just put a second Might Emblem on it, and then on something else. So now it's a 5/5 that can resist 2 effects. Holy crap. Now, because it doesn't say you can put only a Might Emblem on something that doesn't have a Might Emblem. So yeah, just Kayano this guy out, and wow, that's gonna be pretty rough to beat. Not gonna lie. Really, anything you Kayano out gets a Might Emblem, so if you're planning to play Triangelica Sentinel after, they all get protected. It's gonna be interesting to see. But like I said, I think Sentinel's gonna see definitely play. No, there's no way it doesn't see play. A card that can resist Cataclysm is gonna give Dominion something to think about. Definitely, because if they can't, like, if this dude comes down and they were relying on a Cataclysm, what are they gonna do now? Like, especially if you're playing Hermelion, they're just gonna die, because you got a 4/4 Sentinel and probably another guy with a buff like Cavalry Field, and you're threatening your hero power, and they can't remove them at all. So, does that mean Dominion can't play just a ramp game anymore because of these guys? If so, that's good. The day of reckoning is coming for Dominion. Triangelica Sentinel is looking to put an end to turn 6 or turn 7 freebie Cataclysm clear the board, because this guy's not going anywhere. And if you have to Cataclysm twice to get rid of them, oh yeah. And keep in mind, when Triangelica Sentinel loses a Might Emblem, you could just play Sentry of the Light and give him another Might Emblem. Does that mean Dominion's gonna have to play creatures on the board? Whoa! What a crazy idea, right? Dominion playing minions on the board before Cataclysm? Crazy. Crazy, right? So, I can't wait to see what the other Valor guys look like. I mean, we could probably imagine there's going to be at least, like, one big Valor card. There might even be two, which means all the new cards will have Valor, which will lead to a new deck type, which looks to be quite strong and competitive, just based on these two cards. As soon as I know anything, I don't know if I'm even going to know anything, like, the spoilers ahead of time. If I do, of course, I'll put them up in some form or another. And yeah, we'll have to see. Looking forward to that. I'll see you guys next time. I think we're off to a very promising start. It's a shame that these cards couldn't be in the first expansion, right? Because that would have been awesome. See you guys.